The following broadcast is a Nighthawk Network presentation. Good evening, everyone. Eric Buckner in the building, and we are back for season 2 of the I Am Nighthawk pod show. Hopefully, you guys had a good summer and everything went well for you wherever you may be, here, there, and everywhere. We are doing good, feeling, we working some things out, but all in all, just happy to be alive and back on the air and got some other projects going that we will talk about at the end of the show. And basically just want to send a shout out to all my good friends who have supported the platform for all these years and continue to do so. For those of you who share the platform with your friends and tell other people about it, we thank you very much for your efforts in that regard. All right, today we have a few topics for discussion. The first one is in regards to something that I want to focus on for season 2. You know, season 1, I had a couple things that I focused upon, like the emergence of AI. And of course, we'll still be talking about things of AI nature, but also talked a lot about educational stuff. And we will definitely get into that too, particularly in these first few episodes as school is starting back for people. Have something in regards to that later on in the show as well. But the thing I want to talk about this season, probably more than anything, is our mental health and our evolution as people. We have to remember, when it all comes down to it, you open this up on the inside, the blood is still all the same, okay? Whether it be black, white, Chinese polka dot, it matters not. In the end, to be a person incorporates a lot of the same things with all of us. And we need to do a better job as people, I personally feel, to find more common bonds that bring us together as opposed to separate us. Now, because we talk about things of a nature in regards to race and whatnot, you know, I often whip out the race cards and all those types of things, and we'll still do those things, but let's try to start thinking of these things in terms of everyone, not just the people in our household or the people in our communities and neighborhoods, but also as the people in our country, the people in this world, this big blue ball that we call planet Earth. So this first story is in regards to how people evolve and basically how people treat one another, particularly people who are in positions of authority. There was a story that basically started here in Detroit about a week or so ago in regards to a young lady who was dealing with some things and basically found herself in a courtroom. And let's see, I think we should be able to get everything set up now. We shall play what happens from there. And there's a few videos that correspond to this discussion. We will play them and then we will discuss one at a time, okay? So let me get that together for y'all. Hold on. Nope, that's not the one. You know, basically there are things evolving here in terms of our recordings and whatnot. So as we are working out the new technology, some of the StreamYard people, we will have these things that kind of go kind of wonky. So just be patient, please. We're trying to work this out, make it better for all who view, you know? All right, let's see. Let's put this here now and play this.
Where a judge laid down the law when a 15-year-old misbehaved in his courtroom, but some say he went too far. It was a field trip that ended in handcuffs. A teenager visiting a Detroit courthouse with other students was soon clashing with the judge.
The only thing you'll learn about my courtroom is then I am not a toy. I'm not to be played with.
Judge Kenneth King became visibly agitated when the 15-year-old repeatedly fell asleep.
You fall asleep in my courtroom one more time and put me in the back, understood?
The judge had her removed from court, but he says that failed to fix her, quote, attitude. So then he brought out a jail uniform and handcuffs.
That's not something that normally happens, but I felt compelled to do it because I didn't like the child's attitude.
He even threatened her with jail time to teach her a lesson about behavior.
I'm going to go to sleep tonight while you're sitting in the juvenile detention facility.
Was I really going to do that? Probably not. Could I have? Probably so. But that's not what I want to do to a kid who's there on a field trip.
Some claim the judge went too far.
Just totally inappropriate. There were so many other ways in which to have helped that young girl learn.
The nonprofit that hosted the field trip saying, quote, it's unfortunate that he chose to make an example of a 15-year-old girl in front of her peers. The young lady was traumatized. But the judge insists that discipline today can keep teens out of his courtroom tomorrow.
So that was my own version of scared straight.
Well, we're told the judge.
All right, so that is the first video. Now let us discuss, shall we? Okay. All right. So what happened is this. Let me give you a little bit more background. There was a field trip taken to Detroit's 36th District Court, which is our main court, precinct here in Detroit, the actual city itself. And it was a trip by a nonprofit organization that was running a summer program for kids, basically taking them to different sites and, giving them something to do. You know how we say idle hands is the devil's workshop. And during the summer, we just want our kids to have something going on with themselves just outside of sitting around the house or what have you. So, yeah, these kids on a field trip to the court went to this judge in particular, Kenneth Keith's courtroom. And during the proceedings where they basically were observing what was going on, one of the young ladies that was on the field trip fell asleep. The judge basically told her, okay, next time you fall asleep, we're going to have a problem. She fell asleep again. When she was revived by whoever, basically she was a little irritated as, you might be if you get woke up out your sleep. And the judge in turn did not care for her attitude. That in turn led him to have her taken to the back of the courtroom and put in one of the detention areas and then be brought back out in one of the jail uniforms. At that time, he reprimanded her for falling asleep, and she in turn eventually apologized. And basically he said that he threatened to lock her up and all these other things to teach her a lesson about respect for her elders and what have you. Now, on the surface, it sort of made sense from just the basic story we were given. This kid came in his courtroom, firstly was being disrespectful to him. He in turn wanted to teach her a lesson and in turn teach the other children a lesson also about taking legal matters seriously, taking people of authority seriously, so on and so forth. Now, of course, the question is, was this too much? I think the next video will put even more light to the fact that, yeah, it pretty much was very much too much. So let's go to the second video here. Okay, again, let me work my magic here right quick. Here's what we did not know at that time in regards to this story.
But we begin tonight with a mother outraged by the way a judge punished her daughter on a field trip to his courtroom. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Carolyn Clifford. 7 News Detroit broke the story 24 hours ago. Well, tonight, the teen's mom says she did not know what happened until we started digging. Her 15-year-old daughter fell asleep, and the judge felt compelled to teach her a lesson. Well, now the story is making national headlines. The entire country is talking about how the girl ended up in handcuffs and a jail uniform. 7 News Detroit reporter Ruta Olsonaida is following up tonight as the teen's mom sounds off.
That mom says she was horrified to see her daughter in handcuffs and says Judge King didn't have the full story.
Would you want someone to treat your child like that? Would you even treat your child like that if he fell asleep in the courtroom?
Latoria Hill is a single mother of 2 children, including her oldest daughter, Eva Goodman. She signed her up for a summer program with the Greening of Detroit nonprofit to keep her busy. What was supposed to be an educational field trip to 36th District Court Tuesday turned into a traumatizing experience for both of them. Judge Kenneth King, not liking Eva's attitude and seeing her falling asleep, placing her in handcuffs and a jail uniform.
I'm thinking maybe she needs to go to the juvenile detention facility. You do understand that we have a jail for kids.
Latoria says Eva was falling asleep because the family does not have a permanent residence at the moment. They're just trying to make ends meet.
To belittle her in front of the whole world and her friends, to make her even feel more worse about our situation. I'm a single mother. I'm trying my best. I'm doing everything that I can.
You sleep at home in your bed, not in court.
So the fact that he was talking about you go home and get in your bed, how do you know my baby got a home? How do you know my baby got a bed, her own bed that she can sleep in? She don't have that right now. So she was tired.
We spoke to Judge King Tuesday, who stands by his actions to discipline the child after showing him, quote, attitude.
So do I have any reservations? Do I think I was heavy-handed in what I did? No, I don't, because I'll do whatever it needs to be done to reach these kids and make sure that they don't end up in front of me. So that was my own version of scared straight.
You didn't scare nobody straight. You made a parent upset. You scared my child. She was nervous, didn't even know how to act. She'd never been inside no courtroom.
Latoria, frustrated with how this was all handled, removed Eva from the summer program and stands up for her daughter now after she couldn't stand up for her in that courtroom.
And my baby been struggling and she been held on tight. She been going to school. She get good grades. She don't give me no problems.
Judge King has offered to mentor the girl. The family says they are not interested. In Detroit, I'm Ruta Olsonaida, 7 News.
Okay, so there's that. Now we got even more background to the situation. Now let's really discuss, okay? So let's try to piece all this together so far. On the one hand, we have the young lady Eva Goodman, who went on a field trip to the 36th District Court. It's supposed to have been an educational trip to learn about how the court works, so on and so forth. They end up in Judge Kenneth King's courtroom. Now, I will safely assume that he signed off on this as to have these young people in the court because he felt some type of moral obligation to mentor these young people in a way that was supposed to be positive, okay? But on the other hand, you saw how he spoke in regards to the situation. I ask you, does that sound like someone who is looking to mentor children? Or did that sound like somebody that was basically saying, I'm the judge, this is how I did it, y'all should learn from me? You know what I'm saying? Understand that when the story first came out last week, and then that following day when the mother spoke out, it went big time viral, okay? Was talked about on pretty much most of the major talk shows, talked on shows like the Ricky Smiley and the Breakfast Club and pretty much most of your national morning talk shows, radio shows, so on and so forth. And most of them seen it probably the same way you saw it, just from either when you saw it last week or how you saw it just now. That judge went way too far in regards to that. Now, understand, this is 2024. Perhaps that plays a little differently under other circumstances. For example, What if that child had been a male child? Would you have seen it differently? What if that child was not a child at all, but was an adult on some type of college field trip? Would that have played differently? What if the child basically were saying the types of things that were threatening to the judge? Would that make it different? More than likely, no. No. In the end, she was 15 years old. This was a voluntary trip to this place. I do believe there was a way to have done that to where you make an example, but not necessarily out of her. You basically go through the procedures like, okay, now if this had been such and such and such, this is how I would have dealt with it. Young lady, this is how I deal with things in this court. This is how court works, blase split. In an ideal world, I would put you in these jail clothes. I would lock you without actually doing it. Because now we have to think about and go back in our minds for those of us much older than 15. How would you have felt at 15 if this had happened to you? Me, myself, I would have been nervous, scared, obviously embarrassed for that happening in front of a group of my peers, traumatized, shocked, agitated, you name it. I would have had all those emotions. It wouldn't have been a good day. And in terms of the days we think about that kind of marinate in our brains for the rest of our lives, I'm pretty sure that one very much will for that young lady. Eva Goodman, who basically was not famous for anything else before that day. Now, keep in mind, that young lady at some point, more than likely, will go to somebody's school and be a student. People will know of that story. This 2024, I don't think that part of it matters here because there's going to be some children in that school that's going to tease and torment that child about what happened. Okay, sad but true. Maybe people in her neighborhood will see. That's the next part of this story. A very important part, I might add. This young lady, we learn, is currently out here in the streets, so to speak, with no permanent residence. So add the stress of what happened that day with the stress of what's going on in her regular day-to-day life, where from day to day, you do not know where you're going to be sleeping or staying. Imagine how stressful that is, even now. Just imagine whatever age you are right now. If you find yourself in a position somewhere down the line, weeks from now, where suddenly you don't have a permanent place to stay. Remember, it could happen to any of us. We are just at one or two scenarios away to where we now find ourselves out here, not knowing what our next move is. Imagine how that mother feels, where she already feels bad about the fact that not only is she out here with no permanent place to stay, but she also has her children to consider. They are looking at this as an example, like, oh, wow, we out here in these streets. Mom's got us, in a bad place. Now, we don't know why they have come to this place in their life at this point. We just know that it has happened. And understand, in an ideal world, that judge could have gained some understanding about that in regards to, okay, Your Honor, I'm sleepy because I didn't get good sleep. I didn't get good sleep because last night I stayed at somebody's house and I wasn't comfortable, and it's been like this for weeks. I apologize, so on and so forth. But we did not get to that discussion because you were too busy trying to learn her a lesson, or teach her an example, not knowing the full scope of it. And you would think, as a person of authority, as a judge, no less, one who basically judges the lives and opinions of what people have done, that in a courtroom of law, you learn the facts about what happened and then make a judgment. Is that something that that judge did in this case? Obviously not. Not if it turned out this way and we find out those details after the fact. Not good at all. So, yeah, you are a judge, have been a judge for years. But did you use good judgment in this part of the scenario? I don't think you did. And obviously, the majority of us felt that same way, including the people that are involved in these scenarios. So much so that the mother who basically put her child in that summer program took her out the program. The program issued an apology in regards to what happened. And then what happened? Well, let's move on to the next part of the story and we'll discuss some more. All right, give me a second, y'all. Let's see. All right, let's go to this video here. Note, the story has gone national now.
Why are you being disrespectful to this court?
What was supposed to be a field trip to a Detroit courtroom Tuesday ended up traumatizing a Michigan teen, according to her mother.
You sleep at home in your bed, not in court. Quite frankly, I don't like your attitude.
District Court Judge Kenneth King admonishing 15-year-old Eva Goodman after she fell asleep in his courtroom. He then forced her into handcuffs and a prison jumpsuit. Eva's mother outraged, and tonight planning to press charges.
Yeah, she was having trouble sleeping, eating.
A live stream of that court hearing was recorded and then broadcast by local news outlets.
You're old enough to know better. What is your problem?
Tired because Eva and her mom don't have a permanent address and say they got in late the night before the field trip organized by a nonprofit summer program.
She still having like problems with understanding why would he do that to her?
The judge, who says he's since received violent threats, removed from his criminal case docket as he undergoes, quote, necessary training, according to the court's chief judge. Wayne State University also tells NBC News he's been removed from teaching classes there. Judge King declined to comment to NBC News, but told local media his reaction was because of Eva's attitude and told the Associated Press, I wanted this to look and feel very real to her.
She didn't disrespect the court or your honor in the courtroom. Falling asleep is not a crime.
Maura Barrett, NBC News.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated.
All right. Very poignant at the end. Falling asleep is not a crime. She's absolutely correct. Also, you see the more parts of the scenario now. The child in question got in late the night before, finally found a place to lay her head, got a little rest, and then went to the program to go on this field trip. What happened, dealing with the judge. Now, as you start to see more of the actual video itself and the actual reactions of the judge in the moment, is this person necessarily someone you would want to have judgment over whatever you have done, or more importantly, over anybody in your care, particularly your children? Does this seem like a man who you would want to mentor your child? Remember, he actually said that if the family wants, I could mentor her. And do what? The child does not need a mentor. From the reports, she's actually a very good student. She's actually staying out of trouble. Now, again, we don't know the total circumstances of why they are basically going from house to house right now. It may be some type of tragedy that befell them, which caused that. It may be some type of disagreement between the mother and the father that has something to do with this. The mother may have other issues. I'm not putting that out there. I don't know. I understand it's a Detroit story, but I don't know that lady. For all I know, some of you might actually know her. And if you do and you have some things to add to the story, by all means, please put in the comments. But basically the scenario is they're not in a normal scenario. Also, the scenario is that child did not get dealt with in a normal way. The judge said he went out his way to make it feel very real, which included having people in his courtroom, the bailiffs, lock her in handcuffs and someone represent her as a lawyer and so on and so forth. Because he wanted her to fully understand, and he wanted the young people that were there to understand that this was no joke. But it just comes off like, yeah, I'm the man. I'm the man. I'm the man. I'm going to show you I'm the man. You're going to pay attention to me. It obviously came off like that to those involved. It came off like that to those of us who saw the story. It definitely came off like that to the people that were his higher ups, his supervisors and whatnot. So much so that they took him out of court. He's basically suspended for the time being. And also, because as a second job, he was also a professor at Wayne State University teaching law, he actually lost his job as a professor, which of course makes sense because even though they are young adults, they are still young people, and you are supposed to be setting a good example and teaching them the law in a proper way. And how you dealt with that was not proper. It was not good. It was not something that we would want our children to have to contend with on that level with you. Okay, I'm gonna attempt to throw a little extra light in there. You know, basically the lights in the studio have dimmed. That's why I haven't had to go to the glasses too much. You know, the light bothers my eyes because of the medications I take. So basically, if I get to that point and the sunglasses come out, that is why. But anyway, yeah, Judge Kenneth Keith is basically caused a lot of problems in how he dealt with that situation, and has caused his life a lot of problems. Now, let me say for the record, because he mentioned that he's been getting death threats. Too far, y'all. Way too far. Doing way too much on that. It's crazy how I feel like all public officials now, when they get in these scenarios, if they do something that people don't like to that degree, they now find themselves getting death threats because many times their locations, their phone numbers are a public record, and people use that to their advantage, knowing that 98% of these people that are making these calls would never, ever even think about it for real, for real. Nothing more than internet bullies and push button punks, okay? Internet bullies, push button punks. Ain't trying to do none of that. Just putting it on for sure. Okay? Nonetheless, it don't call for that. The man definitely is being taught a lesson in the world of life through the actions that has happened in regards to him after the fact, okay? Because I don't know if he's being suspended with pay or not. I assume he is. And obviously, if you lost your job at Wayne State, they're not paying you no more. And I would safely assume ain't nobody else trying to have their kids come to his courtroom, even when he does come back from sensitivity training. Which, if you have dealt with anything like that, you know it's basically just people telling you certain things. And at that point, you're supposed to know, oh, I should deal with it this way from now on. A person who has been a judge for as many years as him, what's the likelihood that he's going to adhere to any of what he is so-called being retaught? More than likely, no. We'll safely assume also that the powers that be are looking to have him removed from the bench altogether, which is not necessarily the easiest of things. Because remember, most judges are appointed by government or voted in by us. And you can't just up and remove them without much just cause, okay? Does that one incident make him not worthy of being a judge anymore? I can't necessarily say that. But it does call into question anything that has happened in his courtroom during this time. I definitely will be reviewing his other cases to see if anything is not quite appropriate in regard to his actions. If he basically played I'm the man, in other cases involving actual cases that led to people being unjustly incarcerated or whatnot. Remember, us as Black people, people of African descent, we already feel some type of way about the courts and the law as it is, because oftentimes we've seen people or have been people that have been dealt with unfairly by the justice system. So things like this definitely are somewhat of a trigger to us. Remember, Detroit being a large urban African descent population, the primary people that stay here in my fair city look like me. Definitely, I would imagine many of them feel some type of way, particularly anyone who has had or has children of their own. You know, you don't play with nobody's kids. You know how people feel about their children. Even though I myself don't have children, I always will tell you I will respect the parent, because being a parent is a full-time, 24/7 lifetime job that is not easy. Not at all. So when things like this happen, you have to deal with the traumas that it caused. Now understand, as the days have gone by, many comments have been made. If you basically look up Detroit judge falling asleep girl, hundreds of videos from basically major news outlets across the country. Pretty much every other podcaster has said something about this. So just add my 2 cents to this mix. But because of that, we now find ourselves here because something else happened today in regards to this case. Not over yet. Check this out now, y'all. Okay, hold on. Here we go. That's that. Okay, here we go.
Last Tuesday, CBS Detroit's Andres Gutierrez is live in Southfield outside the offices of Legal Law, which is representing the team.
Well, Kelly, this afternoon, the mom of that teenage girl called Judge Kenneth King a big bully. Their attorney says the judge crossed a line, and now this lawsuit claims that the girl's constitutional rights were violated.
I just want Judge King to take accountability for the way that he humiliated my daughter.
Latoria Till says her daughter remains embarrassed over what happened during a field trip to the 36th District Court.
It's hard for her to sleep at night. She's asking me, why did the judge do me like this out of all the kids?
Judge Kenneth King ordered the 15-year-old girl to be handcuffed and put in a jail uniform, claiming he wanted to give her a scared straight experience, all while live streaming it.
The problem with what this judge did was this was completely outside of the scope of what a judge should be allowed to do within any realm of decency.
Which is why Fiber Law has filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against Judge King for unlawful arrest and incarceration, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and invasion of privacy, amongst other charges. They're also suing the security guards and the company they work for, alleging Fourth Amendment violations.
There is zero immunity for what happened in the courtroom on this day. The immunity applies only when the judge is acting as a judge in a court proceeding. This was extracurricular.
Judge King's attorney, Todd Perkins, said CBS News Detroit a statement that read in part, quote, "He is remorseful and sorry if any young person was hurt, as any actions by Judge King would never seek to have that as an intended consequence. He only wants the best outcome for this young person and all young people. She matters. They matter. They are our future." And now, since all of this went down last week, Judge King hasn't heard a case as he is undergoing sensitivity training. He is currently also out of a side gig. Wayne State has told him that he will not be teaching any classes this upcoming fall. Reporting live in Southfield this evening, Andres Gutierrez, CBS News, Detroit.
All right. Let's get us back here to y'all. All right. Okay. So now you see that there's a lawsuit and they are suing the judge. Okay.
I grew up always on the bigger side as a kid. I was always slightly thicker, big bone.
Sorry, y'all. Give me
that
a
really
second.
continued into adulthood.
Contrade is for adults struggling with obesity or who are overweight with a weight-related condition and should be used with diet and exercise.
There we go. Hold on, good people. Where am I? All right. Sorry about that. Basically sharing the screen and running two parts of your computer at once. It can get a little tricky. There we go. All right, now back to the lawsuit. Okay. Let's figure this out from the family standpoint. My guess is the mother initially found out about this and felt how she felt. The news outlets probably reached out to her, and she then in turn did that interview that she did in regards to what went on. Okay. There's that. Meanwhile, her inner circle, I imagine, was like, girl, that's a mess. If I was you, I press charges on old boy. Blase split, which led to her talking about her wanting to file charges on the judge. My guess is that's when she learned about the whole judge immunity thing, where more times than not in a case in regards to the court and the courtroom, basically him on his job, he has immunity from many things, this probably being one of them. So that was that much. Now, my next guess is that the Feiger Law Group, which is basically one of the largest law firms in the country, let alone here in the state of Michigan, and has had several high-profile cases over the years, suing for millions upon millions of dollars. In fact, one of the largest settlements in the history of U.S. justice system occurred from a Feiger Law case. If you know about the whole Jenny Jones case from back in the day, you remember what happened there? If not, by all means, go ahead and look it up online, and it will tell you the story. But yeah, they got millions upon millions of dollars for that particular individual and their family. So my guess is they reached out to her, because it tends to be in certain cases like this, it's not hard to find particular types of lawyers, because certain lawyers seek out certain types of cases. The Feiger Law Group definitely seeks out cases like this with disenfranchised people basically who can't necessarily afford their services offhand, and they basically usually work it to where, okay, you don't have to worry about paying us. We're going to make sure that you get your money, and we'll get our money that way, because what they did to you was wrong. Now, on the one hand, yeah, they do care to a degree, but on the other hand, it's like, oh yeah, I see some big dollar signs on this one. Let's get in touch with her and let's all get paid. Because keep in mind, you heard what they said. They not only are going to sue the judge, they are suing the plaintiffs and their company, and basically anybody that was involved in that caper that day. So the legal defense person and all of that, they suing everybody and anybody. One, to obviously prove a point, but two, to get financial compensation, as they said. Now, you heard the judge's statement after the fact. Okay, yeah, I was wrong. I did not have that to be the intention. I'm not here to harm nobody. I want what's best for that young person in this scenario. What would be best for that young person, to be honest, and for everybody else involved, is for you to sit down with that family and the two sides and be like, okay, I messed up. What does it take to fix this? And basically settle out of court so that that child don't have to go through the whole court proceeding and be embarrassed any further than she already has and be traumatized any more than she already has. And basically pony up and pay her what you need to pay her to make this go away. For you and her. That's in both your best interests. Because surely you want to just get on with your life and wish this day never happened and just find yourself back at your job trying cases, understanding that you are under a big microscope at this point moving forward if you keep your job. And obviously, yeah, what you will do as a judge will definitely be scrutinized way more than it has been in the past. Remember, this whole incident was actually live streamed on the court's page, whatever it is. So you were aware that people were watching as this happened, not just the people in that courtroom, but the people who had access to that feed. So were you really doing it to help that young person? Were you really doing it to help those in that courtroom learn valuable lessons? Were you really doing it to let me show y'all how Judge King get done. It looks more like the third than the other two, I gotta be honest. It does. But yeah, hopefully the sides get together and y'all work that on out. And let everybody move on with their life in a positive way, hopefully. And hopefully that young lady goes on to do great things. And in the meanwhile, let's look into why they are not in a stable home. Hopefully someone who is able to will reach out to that mother and be like, okay, hey, what's the real situation? Is it because you are without finances? Perhaps we can help you in this way. Is it because there was an incident? Perhaps we can help you fix what the incident was. Is there some issue that you are having to make it to where y'all don't have a place to stay? Let us help you get help. Whatever the case may be, hopefully the powers that be, the people with a few extra dollars, can reach out to her and help out her and her children in some way, shape, or form. That would be the best ending to the story as far as I'm concerned. I'm curious to know what you guys' thoughts are in regards to that. Keep in mind, this is a pre-recorded episode, but definitely we'll be looking at the comments. So by all means, put your comments there and we will discuss in the comment section. And if something of extra value is brought up in said comment discussions, we will definitely bring it back up on a later episode to discuss some more. Perhaps you have a whole nother take on this thing entirely and you want to give your version of how you feel. Another thing about this season of I Am Nighthawk, I am looking to have guests on the podcast to discuss various things going on in their thought process or things that they have going on in terms of business or social media, whatever the case may be. I want to offer this platform to you so you can respectfully come on and discuss what you got going. We definitely want to advertise, as I've said in the past, we definitely want to advertise for small and minority businesses here on the platform. We are looking to build a bigger community here in the network, and those are the things I feel makes that happen. Okay, so yeah, that is the story. You yourself can draw your own conclusions. I personally feel Judge King at some point should be allowed another chance to redeem himself. But after the appropriate channels have been taken And after all has been properly settled, I pray that young lady finds a good landing spot in all of this, to where if they check in on her a few months from now, all this happened and it was for the best, because of this now I got this, and this going on, and my family and I are in a lot better place. I pray that is the scenario that we find ourselves in the end. Okay, again, this is the I Am Nighthawk Pod Show. Going to take a break now. When we come back, we are going to discuss about school. School time is starting. And for the young people that are going to school, I think some things we should discuss with them. What exactly should we discuss with them? Let's talk about it on the other side of this break. And I am Nighthawk. Eric Buckner in the building talking to y'all, okay? We'll be back on the I Am Nighthawk Pod Show after these words from my Nighthawk Network. Nighthawk Network, our voices for our people.
We're not asking for your permission. We're not seeking your approval. We're claiming what's ours in the name of our ancestors. We are their answered prayers. This is more than a movement. This is a revolution. Black innocence. What are yours today?
On Blog Talk Radio, or where most great music podcasts are located. Don't forget to
All right, my people, we are back. This is I Am Nighthawk. I Am Nighthawk Podcast. Eric Buckner, your host here, E-Buck as they call me. And we are now on to the next topic for discussion. We are going to talk about getting ready for school. Okay. For quite a few of you, school didn't already started this week. For many of you, school is going to start sometime either next week or the week after. Are you ready? Are you ready? Understand that we are beyond the pandemic restrictions when it comes to school. Always something to keep in the back of our minds, of course, because any of us who went through that during that time must not forget. It is a message I will continue to put out there. We did not go through the hell that was the pandemic for us to just years later, just a few years later, mind you, just forget that it existed or the effect that it had on the psyche and the people of our country and our world, okay? So we always have to have a corner thought of that in our mind as we do anything moving forward, keeping in mind that COVID is not a thing that has been completely solved, okay? So, understanding that may be a partial discussion to have with our young people, maybe not a priority of yours or mine, but something to think about in the event that there is a outbreak or something to that effect, and we have to kind of revert back to some of the things that we dealt with during those times. I pray to God that that is not the case, but a person like myself who does extensive thinking about things cannot help but consider those types of things in these discussions. Okay, that being said, what are some of the basic things we probably should discuss with our kids before they start back to school? Now, I reached out to my educator friends, but then I understand that it is time for them to get ready, or they are already started with the school process. My bad. Should have got in touch with y'all sooner, to be quite honest. But do understand that I will send the show out to you guys. And if you have anything to add to the following comments, by all means, please put them in the comments for the people to know, because after all, you are the ones who are doing the actual work. So you would know better than anybody some of the things that need to be said to the children and the parents in regards to this discussion. By all means, put your 2 cents in. That being said, I will start it out by simply discussing the basics, okay? This world we live in is not always the friendliest of places, okay? If this is your child's first time being away from home, if they are a first-time student, or basically a student in a different environment, you guys have moved over the summer, or you're going to a different school district, what have you, the basic conversation I imagine you would have is, okay, here it is. You are going to this school or this situation. Be aware of the people and the surroundings. If there's anything that makes you uncomfortable, by all means, let your teacher or me know, me being a parent or guardian, as soon as you can, okay? We want to nip any potential problems in the bud early on in this school semester. So if you're having a problem with a fellow classmate or with the learning part of the process where you're being taught something and you don't quite get it, if you are feeling uncomfortable in the environment that is your school, like for whatever reason you're at that school and things are going on there that you definitely need to let a parent know about in terms of what the teacher is saying or doing, what fellow students, principal, if the environment itself is not comfortable, if you're basically there and it's hot as hell every day, or it's cold, or the water doesn't work, so on and so forth. These are things that we should communicate with our kids to let us know as soon as possible, okay? Also, parents, let me say, as a person who is not an educator but did take a few education classes, you know, I dabble in a little bit of everything, so you know that about me. Please be available to be part of the process. It is not the sole responsibility of the educators to educate our children. Let me again say that for the people in the back. It is not the sole responsibility of our educators to educate our children. It takes a village to raise a child. Y'all remember that saying from back in the day? Still very much true to this day. And you, the parent or guardian, is very much a key part of said village. Always keep that in mind. You should be working in coordination with your educators to get your child the best possible outcome in terms of their schooling, okay? That part. For you parents who have children with special needs, please make sure that you are checking out the environment that you are sending that child to. Do not basically look it up somewhere or talk to somebody like, yeah, this school deals with kids with special needs, and just plop that child in that school and leave them to their own devices and pray for the best. You want to go into that environment as soon as possible and ask as many questions as you feel you need to in order to be comfortable with your child being in that place. If that child is in a place that does not completely suit the needs and special needs of that child, by all means, you are to reach out to whoever you need to in order to find the necessary resources to make that happen. We want our children to be in the best possible space to get a full and proper education. Okay. Also, some advice I would give is to look into your school district and find out what advantages and opportunities that they have for your child that you should know about. For example, let me point out to all the people here in the Nighthawk Network who have children going to Detroit public schools. It has been passed into law so that every Detroit public school that serves lunch or breakfast is now required to feed every student in that school, regardless of cost. I repeat, they are required to feed every student in that school, regardless of cost. In other words, lunch is free for every Detroit public school kid. Breakfast as well. I don't know if all schools serve breakfast and lunch, mind you. Pretty sure that they do serve lunch, though. And that lunch is to be free to all students in the school, no exception. That is my understanding. If it is different than what I'm saying, by all means, post it in the comments and let me know. But from what I saw in the news and read in the articles, as I did my research, all Detroit public school students are now required to be given free breakfast and lunch during the school year. An awesome thing passed into law. Shout out to all the people that made that possible, from Governor Gretchen on down. Also, again, from my understanding, if you have a senior, if you have a junior in a Detroit public school who is about to graduate, they are entitled to free education for the first 2 years, I believe, to any of the affiliated schools in the Detroit Promise program, which basically promises anybody who received a high school diploma here in Detroit the opportunity to attend school for free for at least the first 2 years. It may even be longer than 2 years, but I'm pretty sure that's definitely the first 2 years, which includes schools, as I believe, like I said, don't quote me on this. I know, I want to say Wayne State, obviously WCC3, the community college, and I believe Eastern Michigan, I want to say Central Michigan, are also parts of that program as to schools that your child can go to after high school that will be paid for by the city of Detroit. For more information on that, I would say go to the City of Detroit page. That is the City of Detroit government page. It will give you the information beyond the realm of what I'm saying that you would require. I'm sitting here looking at it, but I don't want to click on that because I'm probably going to mess up the stream if I do that. But it's basically DetroitMichigan.gov. DetroitMichigan.gov. And then, of course, for those of you who are not in the great city of Detroit, look into what your school district offers your children and see what advantages you can take of that. Because I'm sure we're not the only persons doing the school lunch program, and also not the only persons doing the collegiate program, particularly not in Michigan. So by all means, look it up, find out, and take advantage. Our tax dollars pay these public schools. We should get everything that we are allowed to get, and then some if we can. In terms of dealing with your children, you as a parent should know your child better than anybody. And again, this goes into that slippery slope for me because there are a few people who are in the network who oftentimes feel some type of way about me discussing parental things with me not being a parent. So to those of you and the potential vice president Vance aside, I'm still gonna talk my ish. Okay? I'm an uncle. I got something to say, so damn it. Anyway, your uncle is saying, talk to your children, okay? Before they go to school. If you know those kids act up in their environment, they more than likely will do something similar in school. Let them know that ain't cool. Being the bully is not a good thing. Being the bully, in fact, can even be dangerous in the wrong scenario. You don't want that for your child. Being bullied, also not a good thing. You don't want that for your child. If you know your child is kind of sensitive, kind of a person that gets picked on by family and whatnot, and you've now sent them to school, do have that discussion like, child, do not let these things happen to you. Please let somebody know what it is before things get too far. One of my key concerns is that these incidents that happen in our schools, particularly the last several years involving mass shootings and things of that nature, they can be nipped in the bud if caught early enough in most cases. For all the ones who have happened, unfortunately, there were probably even more, but because somebody took the time to talk to that kid before they went too far over the edge, it resolved the issue that never had to happen. That part. So yeah, talk to your children. Let them know you are here for them. If they can't discuss these things with you, try to find someone in your village that they are comfortable discussing with, whether it be Yaya or your uncle or your pastor or that old guy down the street, whatever the case may be, have them have these discussions. Our mental health is important, and it starts early on. If we have a bad foundation coming into adulthood, that also complicates our adulthood as well. So please sit down and discuss, okay? Another thing to point out is what other resources are there out there? Usually in this area, there are people that do school supply giveaways, uniform giveaways, things of that nature. Seek them out. See what you can find out. Again, City Detroit website, excellent source. When you are strolling along on YouTube or hell, even TikTok and all that, type in help for school and see what comes up. Matter of fact, let's do it right now. Right now. I got my phone right here. I'm going to go on YouTube. Okay. I will walk us through what I'm doing. I'm going to go to my search bar. I'm going to type in help for students. And I'm going to hit circle. And there's a variety of things. How can we help students be more successful? Free resources, making scholarship applications easy. 8 tips to help students evaluate websites, helping ADHD students. There's a variety of all types of videos that pop up. And just kind of scroll through and see if you find something that's going to be helpful to you. Then you can always go to your Google search. Let's do that right quick, shall we? Help with school resources. All right. School resources can include learning resources, material resources, and human resources. And it gives me one of the first things is the State of Michigan website, and type in student resources. And it says a variety of local, state, and national resources and services are available to support individuals, teens, and children facing a wide range of challenges. And it takes you to a whole website, and you can look into that and see if you find anything that is helpful to you. You never know, particularly when it comes to things like school scholarships and things of that nature. Perhaps you don't want your child to go to a Detroit public school. Perhaps some of those websites can help you out to find an alternative school to go to. Perhaps you have determined after the pandemic that you kind of like your child not doing actual brick and mortar school, that you want them to be homeschooled. You can find resources that help you with that. I'm sure that it will even include getting them a free laptop and internet service and things. I do believe there are several programs now for people who are financially challenged to get internet, particularly when it comes to it being used for the students in your household. There are definitely programs for that at this point. Don't know what's going to happen in the future, depending on who is the president after his back. You know how that goes. But anyway, yeah, look into your resources. See what you can find to help out the scenario, okay? Once upon a time, there was this thing that many of us did in our households. We call it family meeting. I feel if you are getting ready for school as a family, before y'all do all that, have a family meeting. Like, okay, look, here's what happened. Last year, your grades was good. Your grades not so much. Or y'all grades wasn't good. Or your grades was good, but your behavior was bad. How did you like your school last year? Is it time to find a new school? Do you feel like you're learning enough? Do you feel comfortable in your school environment? These are all discussions to have right now. Have them now before the school year even starts, so that if there is some issue, if there is a problem that needs to be solved, you can get to work on it right away, so that before day one even starts, perhaps it's time for day one in a new place. Okay? Now, understand I'm not discussing the college students so much because many of you have already started. Good luck in your school adventure this year. And remember, whether you have declared your major or not, it's all a process. If you have majored in something and you find yourself now wanting to change your mind about it, seek out resources on your end. Go to the counselor of the school or ask a professor, what can I do if I want to change my major, so on and so forth. Several people learned that in going to college, maybe the experience of college was for them, but the actual degrees don't quite fit the bill. Maybe it's better for them to join the workforce immediately or basically go to a trade school. Remember, trade school is an excellent option and oftentimes can be a more profitable option. I've said it before, I will say it again. I very much appreciated the experience of going to college, but in the ideal world, perhaps I would have went to a different college or not at all and just went to trade school, because in the end, the majority of things that I ended up doing for a living after college was more trade related than it was educational based. Though, like I said, I still use some of those very skills in my life outside of graduation, such as doing my own podcast. Seeing that I'm a telecommunication and film major, it all kind of makes sense, don't it? And speaking of other things related to my field of study, there's another project that I'm actually working on. A couple of them, really. One I can't really get into, very personal. But certain people have been trying to reach out and wondering what's happening with certain things. It's because of that project that I'm not quite ready to reveal or work out certain things. Kind of be patient with me if you could. But the other project I'm also working on and look closer with that one, but it too will take some time. But part of that process has already begun. What am I talking about? I will get to you with that one after this quick commercial. And I do mean the quick one. So we're going to be right back. This is I Am Nighthawk Pod Show. I'm E-Buck. I got something to tell you after this.
Hello, hello, hello. It's another glorious day, my T-Sippers, and you know what time it is. I hope you have all of your comforts together because it's time to dish the tea. And you're dishing tea, darlings, with Big Meech.
Can't wait. It's time to dish tea with Big Meech. It's time to dish tea with Big Meech. It's time to dish tea with Big Meech. It's time to dish tea with Big Meech.
Darling. Hello.
That, of course, is Dishing Tea with Big Meech. That still is playing most Fridays and will probably be Saturday and Sundays at some point once again. Shout out to the Big Meech. What's going on? Definitely brought that commercial on in particular because Big Meech has afforded me the opportunity that I will discuss now. If you have been watching my Facebook page, you have noticed that I've posted quite a bit in my stories about WTEA Radio. WTEA Radio is an internet radio station that has been started by the one and only Big Meech to play his variety of musical things and songs and such. He has reached out to certain individuals, one of them being myself, to be on-air personalities on his radio station, his internet radio station, and I accepted. So yeah, as of last week, I am now one of the radio personalities on WTEA Radio. You can hear the Nighthawk Network block at least a couple times a week. We are still working out schedules and time frames and all of that. As we get more of that locked down, I can give you a better understanding of when you can actually catch me. I'm not only working on the pod shows in the network and posting, our other people in the network. Shout out Dr. Marla Facey, and of course, Big Meech, and of course, my partner in crime, Hugh Lee, and some of the others who are still committed to doing some type of work here on the network. Oh, can definitely not forget about this man, by the way. Before we continue this conversation, I will not only shout him out, I will play his promo. Hold on. Nighthawk Network presents Pastor Sean Love. Pastor Sean Love, devoted father and husband, a residing pastor at the River Rouge Bible Assembly in River Rouge, Michigan. Join him as he gives us messages from God's Word, Bible study, and encouragement. You can find him on YouTube under Sean Love. Yes, that of course is the one and only Pastor Sean Love, who's inspirational and very thought-provoking Bible. What exactly would I call him? Basically, it is Sean Love broadcasting from River Rouge Bible Assembly, giving his testimonies and words, his just basically his version of church on the television, YouTube style that we get every Sunday, part of the sermon that he has given there at the church that he has allowed us to broadcast here. Shout out to him. Definitely, my brother, when you get time, one of these evenings, hit me up, give me a call. We should talk. We ain't been talking enough. Just as much my fault as yours. I know you're a busy man. I'll be busy too, but yeah, definitely need to kick it with you, my brother, about some things. Hit me up when you can. But yeah, those people we are still working in coordination with here at the network. Also, of course, shout out to our favorite Nighthawk Network affiliate. That would be Road to Stardom. Please check out Road to Stardom Radio, who is also, as of this week, on the Live 365 network, which is where you will find WTA Radio. Of course, since I am pre-recording this, I will definitely put the link in the comments for you to follow, and then probably will post it on the screen as well, so you can check out what we got going on over there. Like I said, if you like things such as old school jams, if you like things such as live in concerts, If you like things such as talks, such as I Am Nighthawk, because keep in mind, remember that show from back in the day that I used to do over here on the pod? Well, it has gained a new life over there at WTA Radio. What am I talking about? I'm, of course, talking about Get Off My Lawn, also known as Get Off This Lawn. It is now over there in radio form on WTA Radio. So you can check that out. Some of the things we discuss here might be the same over there, but usually it will be a whole different set of discussions that I will have on Get Off My Lawn, you know, kind of more of a this how I feel about things type scenario over there, as opposed to me being a little bit more thoughtful and informative over here with I Am Nighthawk. So check those out. And of course, the master plan, the end game for myself is to set myself up to have my own internet radio station sometime probably early next year. It requires quite a bit of work. Meech, I'm sure if you check out Dish T, has discussed it over there, and you know, in the discussions that me and him have had in the last couple weeks in regards to it, it's a lot of work, particularly with the computer input and having enough gigabytes and having the time frame situated and putting all the tags in the frame. I mean, things that fortunately I have studied in school, so I have a idea about, but because of the new integrated modern technology, AI and such, quite easily complicated at the same time. So as I'm learning through his process, and now, like I said, Road is over there with Road to Stardom Radio. Yeah, Road, when you see this, definitely I will put my number in your inbox. I want to talk to you as well about your experience with the process and just talk in general, because that too is long overdue. We'll discuss. But yeah, I am definitely working on some radio projects right now, working on what my station is going to look like when I get it going and what types of things I'm going to play on the air. Definitely going to be a variety station on my end. So you're going to get a little bit of everything from gospel to golden oldies, country, sports talk, regular talk. Want to bring in some actual people to do on-air stuff with me as well. Talked to a couple of y'all already about it. Advertisements, we're doing the whole shebang bang. Not gonna be WJLB, we'll tell you that, but definitely want to do some JLB type things, if that makes any sense. We'll talk about it more once we get a little closer to that. Like I said, the other project I'm working on it definitely supersedes what I'm trying to do and what I'm able to do in regards to that. So we're just gonna have our radio slots right now on WTEA and work out some other stuff down the line. That's how that's gonna work, okay? In the meanwhile, again, I am praying for those of you who are going through health issues like myself. There are a few of you here in the network. You are in my prayers and my constant thoughts. Being E right now, some days kind of tough, but I'm built to keep it going, okay? I want to live this life for some more years. I still got some more things to do and accomplish. Definitely will work on doing a better job in the whole scenario, but also will work on other things I need to work on as well. That part. Okay, y'all, we about to call it a show. Next week on the show, one of the topics I want to talk about is some curriculum I wish they would add to schools. I think you'll find it kind of interesting where I'm going with this. It's something a little different than what I've talked about in the past. It's something that kind of hit my brain. One of those things I thought about while many of you sleep. Because you know that's what the I Am Nighthawk show is about. The things I think about while y'all sleep. Okay, until the next time we meet, again, don't stress. Don't stress. Be blessed. And when all else fails, make sure you put your hands together and pray to the one upstairs and let him take care of the rest, okay? Until the next time, y'all, love, peace, Afro grease, all that good stuff. Where is our closing? There it is. Deuces. This has been the I Am Nighthawk podcast. A Nighthawk Network presentation. Nighthawk Network, our voices for our people.